But I feel like there are a lot of resources that our counterparts may or may have access to, have had access to for generations, even centuries, that they were able to draw from in order to make things go. And that's one of the things that I talk to a lot of people about, is a lot of people have made
All right, welcome back to another episode of Chop It Up with your girl Lebene, and today we have a very special edition. We're collaborating with Alberta Music to bring this panel to really speak about the wins, the struggles, and what it's like to really be an artist here in Edmonton, Alberta. First up, we have Alphonse. He's an artist manager and a marketing expert here in the city. We also have Nigel Williams, who you've probably seen him somewhere. He's an MC, he's a media guy, he does it all. And then we also have soulful, beautiful vibes from Kiana Faith. So I want to get into it. I want to start with you, Kiana. What is it like? Let's be real. What is it like being an artist here in Alberta?
There's a little bit of a struggle that comes with it. You have to work really hard and put yourself out there, and you have to be willing to do things outside of your comfort zone and just like try to get in every performance that you can and just really network yourself and build up for that.
Great, I love that. And for you, Alex, I want to get like your perspective as a manager. So we've seen artists like Forever Friday or be really using social media to utilize their branding and their platform to push. What do you think Alberta artists need to do or push themselves to be able to reach those levels as well?
You gotta know what you want. I think it's important to know like where you want to go with your career and what you want to do with it. Because, for example, if you're willing to push a song, are you willing to put it out? How long are you willing to market it for?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to perform that song for the rest of your life if it's a hit? Because it's important for you to like really gear into where it is that you're trying to go, how you're trying to do it, the kind of work that goes into now that you got to become like a part-time content creator in order for you to really kind of garner an audience. And then you like as you mentioned, right? You gotta be willing to perform. You gotta be willing to know kind of what like the industry wants as well as what the independent game wants. Because dealing with the industry, you understand that they want live music, they want instruments, they want a band, they want people to play these things and play by their rules. But in the independent game, you gotta wear like 9 different hats. You gotta be on event promoter, you gotta be your own PR, you gotta be your own marketer. So and then you gotta like learn how to do like everything, ads and all. So it really depends. Like, you have to really kind of hone in on what it is that you want out of that career, because it'll help you kind of take it step by step and then achieve those small goals as you get.
I totally understand where you're coming from. And with you, Nigel, you're deep into media and community work. And recently we've seen more Black individuals in more leadership roles, like the executive director of Edmonton Arts Council or like some board membership. So we've seen a little bit of growth in those areas. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. So what kind of impact does that make and how important is that representation?
I think that it's very important to be represented by somebody that looks like you and understands the struggle. A lot of times what happens is we are confused with cultural differences, with race. And it's very important that we understand that culture and race are different. And so Black culture is more than just race. It's about knowing things about your culture that other people may not understand. For instance, knowing what a Jamaican patty smells like, or knowing what a hot comb smells like, or understanding when a beat drops, when the beat drops, what to do. That's a cultural thing. That is not a race thing. So having somebody in these spaces that looks like us and can identify with some of the struggles that we have, it makes it as an easier platform for us to kind of navigate through. So we're able to get through into spaces that we normally wouldn't be in because people understand, oh, that's the struggle. For many times, if you look at hospitals, a lot of people felt that Black people had more pain resistance than white people. And so there were more deaths because they felt that they could ignore you for longer while they treated people who didn't look like us. Having somebody in that space now allows that medicine to actually take place. And so this happens all around in our environment. So we need to continue to have this and push for more people to be in those spaces. In our culture, in media, in all aspects of music, and in our government.
Great. I think you're tapping also into like Black people are not a monolith when you speak about culture versus race and like how there's distinct things. Like there are things that are also similar amongst us, but there's also differences. But then those differences also keep us connected because we can also relate to those things as well. So I want to pose this back to you, Kiana, and then we can go from Kiana to Nigel and Alphonse. Sorry, Alex. I want to know, like, do you think there's enough resources and support for Black musicians here in the Alberta music scene, and what do we need more of?
I do think we have support in the music scene, especially when it comes to like applying for grants and grant writing. But if you are someone who doesn't have like a high financial income, it is harder to like put your music out there, especially if you don't get accepted for a grant and you have to fund your music out of your own pocket. And especially with inflation nowadays too. But like we do have support, like even just interviews like this and us being able to come here and like showcase ourselves. Like, but it is just hard to be selective for the support because there's so many people competing for it.
What do you think is still missing in our Alberta's infrastructure for Black musicians and artists?
Well, I believe that there are support systems that are in place. I should say there are resources that are in place, but I believe that the support is not there in many cases. It's getting better, but I feel like there are a lot of resources that our counterparts may or may have access to and have had access to for generations, even centuries, that they were able to draw from in order to make things go. And that's one of the things that I talk to a lot of people about is a lot of people have made steps to get further based off the backs of Black people in the culture. And so now they're further ahead with whatever they have, music, equipment, whatever they have, whereas we're still in a state of struggle as we try to navigate this and try to figure out, okay, how do I get this money into my pocket? If you have a live band or if you have printers that you want to bring into your artwork, these things need money, they need resources, they need financial gain. And you need to be able to get those with ease. You can't be struggling in every single portion. There are people that have come before you that have dealt with this and know how to navigate the system with ease. They just need to impart that knowledge on you, but they don't. And so what happens is we need to create a culture of sharing with each other the struggle and the way to make it through that struggle so that we can get further.
And Alex, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, they touched on a lot of things that are really important. And I've said this, I say this to my audience and I say it often. Right? You kind of have to see yourself everywhere you go in order for you to feel comfortable. But it doesn't mean that that's your only way to make it. Now, in terms of support and the systems that are here in Alberta, I would say that yes, there are spaces that you can go and get the support. It's tough to navigate through because oftentimes, as you mentioned, right, like because you don't see yourself behind there, or because it's difficult for you to navigate, or even put the energy or time in that, it becomes tough for you to really kind of hone in on exactly what you want to do and how you want to approach that. And then when you come with an idea, sometimes the deadline's like 3 days away, so now you're rushing through stuff trying to understand it, and so it is tough. I would say that getting or understanding where to play, what music is out there. You have to network. I think that's important. I feel like there are systems that are foundations that are here to help you, but and I don't want to be rude when I say this, but you gotta learn how to read. Like
All of it.
all of it. Like you gotta read your contract, you gotta read the mandate, because sometimes you're talking to somebody and you're like, okay, you applied for this thing, but then do you know what the mandate that they have, why they're doing what they're doing, why they're giving the money away? You just see $10,000 or $5,000, you're thinking, oh, this is what I'm gonna use it for. what do they want to do with that money? How do they want to utilize it? Now, understanding that you are not just something to be used, I understand we have a very hard time kind of like looking at that and being comfortable with being used by other people. I don't think anybody really likes that idea. But in the music business, it's tough for you not to be part of the system and also get the money out of them. So you kind of have to learn how to navigate that. And in understanding how to navigate it, you understand the mandates. You're like, okay, well, for example, Alberta Music for the Arts. Sorry. Alberta Foundation for the Arts is they have a mandate where they help you with marketing. Right, so you have to work towards having a project and then understanding where the marketing will go in order for you to then apply to go to marketing. But I've seen artists try and like say, well, I want to do some research instead. That's great, but they're going to say no to you because the jurors are reading that and saying that's great, but this is not this application, and they put you to the side no matter how great your application is. So you got to read what you're looking at. You got to ask questions. Show up to the workshops and those things that are there because they are there to help. We've done a really good job of kind of getting to that point where, guys at Harlow kind of really try to help out the ecosystem. And I love that about individuals like that because they really are here for like the Alberta culture. But if you don't show up, how exactly do you expect to get something out of it and then also they complain? So it's like somewhere you got to do enough of the work for people to feel like, okay, I'm helping you along, not helping you or pushing you completely.
So we understand that obviously in order to get somewhere, you have to have that village. You have to have people around you that push, you network together, you connect, you collaborate. So I want to go to you, Kiana. How do you navigate networking and collaborating in Edmonton, in the scene? Do you feel like it's clear and accessible, or are there some pathways and roadblocks that you see?
I feel like for me it's pretty clear and accessible because I just go based off of energy. Like I'll work with you if I feel like we align with each other and like our work will like come out something that we can both appreciate. But I won't work with people if I feel like it doesn't align with me or like what I think like I should be doing with my music. But it's really accessible because there's so much talent in this city.
Yeah, I agree. We know that the state of media right now, it's iffy. There's a publication here today, maybe they're not there tomorrow, and it's important to also, like, as Black people, create our own content, own it. Do you feel like there has been a good push to kind of elevate more Black voices in Alberta? Or do you think there's still more work to be done? Because I think of CBC The Block that we have now as well, and then we also have Key of A in Calgary, which is pushing Alberta music. Do you think, how do you see the landscape at the moment?
That's a hard one. I think we're working towards a greater goal. I think, which is great. I think that we are pushing towards hearing more different varieties of music. In the Black community, Black people are not a monolith, so you have people that are country music singers or alternative, or you have R&B, or you have gospel. You could have all types of genres they want to showcase and show, but without having the platform to do it, it's going to be there. And even when we do have the platform, people don't share other people's things. I was on a radio show for 2 years, and all I did was profile Black Edmontonians on my show. That's it. So I had it for 2 years, 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 in the morning, Saturday and Sunday. I did. It's called the Black Multi. First I took my podcast and made it into a radio show. And I would put new artists, and we play the new artists, and only new artists, and mainly Canadian artists. And then we'd also slip in some American artists there, but we try to put in at least 60 to 80% Canadian content, and especially from Alberta. Though we had the K-Rizzes and the Moraines and the Arlos, we had all those people on there, and if you had tracks, I would throw it on the show, and I'd be like, hey, this is what's out. But the people who listened to it didn't share it with the people that they know, unless they were the artists who I was actually profiling.
Yeah.
So I would have to text the artist and be like, hey, I'm going to profile your thing today. Then I would get something. If I didn't do that, then nobody would share that I have a show. If you share that I have a show, then people would know that I have a show, and it helps me, but it also helps you because now people are realizing, oh, you sound amazing. Let me go to your Spotify. Let me go to your YouTube. Let me go to your thing. we have to remember that we're not trying to cutthroat each other, but we are trying to move with each other. As we all move up, we all eat. Straight up.
Yeah, that's very true. So for you, Alex, from the managerial point of view, do you see like your artists, are they able to get exposure on these Alberta media networks or media outlets, or is there still like a hesitation or struggle?
There is. There's a struggle. I mean, you mentioned the blog, you mentioned Kia, right? And these are great spaces. Like, you hit them up on Instagram and they're fairly good at getting back to you. Obviously, you kind of have to understand that if, let's say, a big event is happening or something, or a big artist is dropping a track, then they might be busy for the next couple of weeks. So you have to be mindful of that. And you can't be upset by the fact that, like, it might take you a month for you to actually get on that platform. And by then, maybe your track that used to be new isn't as new. But again, are you there for only the month, or are you there for the years? So I do have to manage expectations when it comes to that. But the platforms are there. They're growing. I think I just said it perfectly. You kind of have to be willing to share and willing to let people know, like, are you okay being Galinga? Are you okay being the person that's like, yo, like, I got somebody that can help you out here? Because if you're not willing to help the people next to you, then when you show up to somewhere that you feel alone or bad,
all boats rising tide. I forgot what the quote is, but the idea there is that, like, if you're not willing to kind of come up with other people, or if you're not willing to share that information, like the networking that comes along with that's very important, especially in the music industry where you're an artist, right? So you are explaining something to the masses.
Yeah.
You're trying to gather a particular niche to see whether or not they represent or want to be a part of music, if they want your music to be part of their timeline or part of their daily routine. But if you're not willing to do that for anybody else, they're not going to do that for you. And then if you fall short, they fall short, nobody wins.
I definitely agree with that. So I want to go back to you, Kiana, because you're in this space, you're an artist, and we see this TikTok era. And how do you kind of navigate, like, maybe social media strategy, or like, what do you think about when you have to post? And do you feel like Alberta, media spaces are giving you that coverage, or is it something you feel like you're still fighting for?
I feel like I'm still fighting for, like, when it comes to boosting my posts, because I will put money down on my Instagram and my TikTok and boost posts, but it doesn't really do anything. Like, I find myself in the algorithm, but I'm not getting engagement. Like, on Instagram, how you can check, like, how many people view your profile. Yeah. I have a lot of people viewing my profile, but I only have, like, 2,000 followers. It's the engagement part. Yeah. So you can still do the boosting, but it's, like he said, like, if people want to engage with you, they have to do that and share your music as well. And I feel like there's a little bit of a struggle when it comes to that part. No, yeah. I definitely see. I think what I hear from you is that, and I see this too with myself, is that you can get engagement, you can get all these views, but it's like the return. It's not like they are staying to, like, follow you on that journey. Yeah, they're just seeing you in the explore page and they're like, oh, okay, next. Yeah, I definitely see that. What are some things that the Alberta music scene could be doing more of to support artists in the city? And then we'll go to you, Alex, and then Kiana.
Well, the Alberta music scene right now is doing quite a bit. They have partnered with people who are in the community that have seen Juno success and nominations, and they've taken those people that are in the community and they've allowed them a platform in order to teach us, whether it's on YouTube or live, jury mock juries. And if for those of you who are listening to don't know what a mock jury is, that's when you write a grant. It is judged by a group of people. And so what they'll do is they will take a mock of this and they will allow you to ask questions about your grant and why you did not get it. And then you get to go and listen to people who have judged before, and they'll say, well, you probably didn't get it because of this or that. They give you steps and guidelines. That's very important when securing funding and securing venues and securing platform. You want to be able to get to the bigger spaces. Having a proper management team and agent that works with you is important. Being able to not only read, which I agree with that, you have to be able to read your document, but with reading comes understanding the document. So you could read all day long, but if you don't understand what they're trying to ask for, which is basically the point that Alex is saying, then you're not going to know. So what needs to happen is more people from different areas and different genres of music need to come and also do the stuff that Arlo's doing. Arlo is really trying to duplicate himself, and we need to duplicate our knowledge. This is how we've done it since day one. Since we were born, our way of communication is passing it from one generation to the next. It's been the most effective way of passing something down, from fear to how to cook food to how to bathe and comb your hair and be clean. This has been passed down by word of mouth. This is what we need to do with the music scene. We need to pass down this knowledge from one step to the next to the next.
And how about you, Alex? What would you say, kind of like adding on to that?
I mean, I'll start off by saying that, like, here's a trick that my team uses all the time in terms of comprehension, right? If you have a chance, upload the file on ChatGPT or whichever AI platform you go to, and then say, explain this to me like a fifth grader. I swear to God, this has saved me tons of time, not only understanding it, but being able to then teach it to my artists in the ways in which they get it, and then they can move forward. Because again, you don't want to drown in mountains of information, because that's where like that paralysis comes in, which often happens to a lot of artists when it comes like there's so much to do that you're gonna just be like, I'm just gonna sit for a second and think of how I'm gonna do it, versus you being like, how do I do it, and then walk through the steps that you're supposed to do and just kind of go one at a time. In terms of the Alberta scene, they're doing a lot. I think it's important to kind of highlight the benefits of the people that are there right now, that are out there advocating for us and really kind of putting the best foot forward and helping us out. But yeah, I mean, there's so much more that could be done, right? Like the venue spaces, I think it's really important for everybody to understand that not everyone has the income that they need in order to set that up. So there are really great spaces that should be highlighted that can host your show for free. And they're even willing to share with you on the ticket price or even give you all the ticket money. So that's one thing. I mean, I did a class in artist management at CUNY University, and one thing that I learned that I was just shocked by is, for example, if you do a show, make sure that it's $6 and above. The only reason why is because if you do a $6 and above, you can through SoCan you can submit your set list, and however long that it is, depending on the venue that it is, every venue that hosts music has to pay a license fee to host music. You can get minimum $75 back for that performance. Not many people know that. So I've done projects in spaces and then been able to get the artist paid off of that, and they're like, okay, well, I got paid $75 because of course, like I had to kind of put some money behind other stuff like advertising, but at the end of the day, like I know I got paid off of my own music, and that's something that I can track on a regular basis. So like just these small things that really do help, and I think the knowledge is really important. Like you talked about the mock juries. That's a phenomenal thing that I think was introduced. That people didn't really understand that process. And even myself, I had to go into a jury space into really understanding what happens behind the scenes. I've said this often, right? Like you can love being in front of the camera, but as Black people, as people of color, we have to be understanding that there are a lot more jobs and opportunities behind the screen as well, behind the cameras. Like you have people behind these cameras right now that are doing phenomenal jobs, and there's spaces there also. So just because the front of the camera might not be where you're at, the back of the camera is. And if you just kind of learn and piece that together, you'll definitely be part of the ecosystem that can help move things forward. So yeah, I mean, Alberta does have a lot. I think obviously the cities probably could do a better job because, you know, touring is very tough. You got to drive like 2-3 hours to get from one place to the other. So that is something that becomes very tough when it comes to being an artist, because how do you sustain yourself? Like I'm sure you guys have had that struggle as well, just trying to maintain some level of income within the space. But I mean, there are venues in the city. I think they do a good job in promoting themselves. I think people, as you mentioned, need to talk about it more, because the more we know, like let's say there's 4 or 5 venues, the more you're able to cycle through. And again, you got to be happy with the fact that you got an audience. Edmonton isn't the greatest, you know, like music space for a lot of genres, but you can create something here. And again, 50 people every single time you do a show might not mean a lot to you. But if you talk to a venue and say, hey, I can bring in 50 people whenever there's an opening act, that's your selling point. If your selling point isn't your streams, no matter how like great they are, if you can't get people in seats, you're not gonna win over people. And that's a tough part that people have to understand in terms of like social media life and want to say like real life.
As you perform in different venues, different events, different spaces, do you feel like there's been enough opportunities for you to present your music and to showcase it out there, or do you think that there's more work to be done?
I feel like I've had a lot of great opportunities to showcase my music, and I've had some really good openings that I've landed. I just think I want to get more out of Edmonton and maybe travel throughout Alberta, but it is hard to tour because like I do have to fund it myself. So like you said, yeah, like the cities, if they could help us more like with touring and venues, like where we don't have to pay the venue to have a show there, then also bring all the people to come, because I feel like I can bring a big crowd, but I'm also paying for the venue and then paying for the people working the venue. So then you kind of leave with nothing, which is fine because you got the experience. But it would just be nice if you just had a place where you could just go perform and then everyone could eat. We could all make money from that.
Yeah, definitely. Like we stronger together rather than separate, and even having conversations like this and meeting up in spaces like this is kind of rare. And you're all in music, right? In one way or another, but it's like important for us to like convene in these spaces. So I want to get kind of Nigel and Alex into this conversation where we've seen a lot more artists, whether it's from the continent of Africa or the Caribbean. Let's talk about soca, dance hall, reggae. We see it come to Edmonton. We have, whether it's Kerry West or Kerry Fest, they're coming, they're performing, there's a lot of people. And when you Google Alberta music, you don't see soca, you don't see reggae, you don't see dance hall, you don't see Afrobeats. And I know you, one of your artists is a Francophone artist, right? So I want to start with you. Do you think Alberta is ready? Because it's our culture, so we've already embraced it. It's a part of us. Do you think Alberta is ready for those quote unquote international music genres? Which I hate that term, but.
Short answer, yes. We're ready. I mean, we have enough people here to fill up the venues in which are here, right? Like Ashake came here last year.
Rema's coming next month.
Right,
Yeah, Rema's in April.
Right,
Yeah.
like I spoke to the organizer that did that, and they brought in over $2 million in business outside of what the tickets were to Edmonton Street. You can't negate that, and I think that is buying power that we need to start flexing a little bit more. Like Afrobeats is one of the largest genres in the world these days. Why? Because people can vibe to it. You can listen to it. Like you got your mom, your dad, your uncle, your auntie that will spread that music. So I think it's really important for, I guess, Alberta to pay attention and to kind of shift away from the idea that, we get our music, they got theirs. Because if it's not an inclusive space, it becomes very tough to kind of push that forward. I mean, like, we're there. I think the biggest thing that I've kind of noticed, and I've been still trying to figure this out, is how you get into the university spaces, the high schools. Now, that is where your audience is. That is where you're going to kind of pull people into your world. But like, if you have a world, how do you pull people into it? What experience are you giving the other person for them to walk away feeling like, yo, I got something out of this? And whether or not they want to leave with a picture, they want to leave with an album, they want to leave, with merch. Like, you have to be willing as an artist to give them that experience for them to be like, I want to go back to that, or to bring a friend next time and make it something that, is like, make an event out of it. Like, of course it's tough because you got to wear many hats and the money that's involved and all, but like, it's there. I'm still piecing together how to kind of navigate all those spaces, but we're here. We have way too many people here that love our genres for us not to really kind of hone in on that.
Yeah, so I want to get to you, Nigel, because you can do reggae, you can do dancehall, you can do soca. You're in these spaces. You're at Kerry West. Like, you're heavily involved. So how do you see like the Alberta landscape kind of embracing those genres, and what can be done so that there can be more limelight on this, so it doesn't just feel like this is for us, but we can generate money from more people.
It's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard because Alberta on a whole has a weird mentality. It's a backwards kind of mentality. And here's what I'm saying. We have oil sands here. We refine the oil sands. It's here. But we pay an American company to come and take it out of the ground and then refine it. Then we sell it to the Americans for about 20 cents per liter. Now, they then sell that back to us at, what's gas at, right? $1.44. So it came from us. We sold it to them. Now they're selling it back to us. And we're consuming it. This is how we are in Alberta with everything. Our music has to go over there for them to see the worth, and then they'll pay more than what the original value was. So in music, we have a problem where we have the Drakes and the Justin Biebers and the Michael Bublé's who had to cross over into the States for us to sell out Rogers Place. However, that's the problem. I don't like focusing on the problem. The solution is we have to know our worth from the get-go. We have to present it and make sure that we, as individuals who listen to the genres, we big up each other so that by the time it gets to the States, it's already big where we are. So then it's able to prosper. We have to understand our own worth and how we do. I do a lot of genres, you're right. I've been on the Windspear stage. I've been on the Citadel stage. I've been in Jubilee Auditorium. I've been all over. Sorry, but I've been all over. And these different venues are not designed for our style of music, which is heavily focused on bass guitar and heavy drum, bass drum licks as well. It's made for a lighter guitar or an acoustic or electric guitar form. So like the Windspear, when you go to the Windspear and you watch a show like Five Artists One Love, you'll notice that it's just missing something. You can't figure out what it is. The facility has everything in there to profile our music. But the people who are running sound, who are doing the different things, they're used to a certain genre of music. They don't see the value in hiring somebody who knows our style of music and why it's important to have these key focuses in our music profiled so that our audiences get the full experience, so that they see the value in paying the money to go to that event to see what's happening. So I believe that it's something that we need to work on from within. We start by getting our own people to do our shows at the smaller venues, and then up to the bigger venues, and up to the bigger venues. And then by the time we overfill all the different venues, we get to the final venue where we're at, whether it's Rogers Place or wherever it is, we are there for a reason, and we have all the sound, and we have all the stuff, and we have the value, and they're paying the right money for people like my lady right here. She's amazing. She can sing. She can do all the stuff right. She can do it. So she deserves whatever money that she put the time in to do. So we have to see that value, and we have to support now at this level, wherever she's at right now. We have to support her right now at that level. Also, his artists right now, we have to do the same thing and come out. If the person doesn't sing well or doesn't do the stuff and hasn't put the time in, we know that. That person will fizzle out because they haven't put the time in. But for the people who have put the time in, we have to put the money in.
What are some of the things that you want to see in the next few years in the Alberta scene when it comes to music and supporting you especially?
Again, just more diversity, more people that are like us working, who actually appreciate our music and care more about it than people who are used to just an electric or an acoustic guitar. That I actually never thought about it like that before. And when you were saying that, it made a lot of sense. Like seeing my dad perform at the Jubilee and then only hearing the music and not his voice, or opposite, only hearing his voice and not the music. And then you have people in the crowd getting upset because they're like, yo, what is this? Like, fix the sound and stuff. So just having people who actually care, put the time and effort into sound and because as the artist, you can't hear what the audience is hearing. So you could think like, oh, you're doing your best show, but then no one can even hear you from and then it just gets kind of frustrating to see that people don't really care about your performance as much as you do and like how you want your audience to see you and perceive you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just more like work on that in our spaces and just more people like us help out.
Yeah, definitely. We need to be in like every space.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Yeah, we need to have more than one of us.
I want a dance hall show in the Jubilee.
Period. Period. I love that. So for you, Alex, I want to get into from a business perspective. What do you think needs to happen for Alberta to rise up to have that more, so that we can be more prominent in the scene? Like, okay, Alberta, they got a lot of artists. There's these infrastructures. There's these things in place. I know that's a long conversation, but if you can mention a few things you think.
We got to highlight our producers. So we got some great beat makers here that do some phenomenal jobs. I think that's the first part. That's kind of like the backbone of all our music is those producers that do great jobs. Then you go obviously into the promoters and engineers. They kind of formulate what it is that the experience of the audience that they'll get, whether it's sonically as Nigel mentioned, or in terms of venue. When it comes to just kind of being able to kind of place a space that can enjoy your music and then come out of an experience like that. And then the venue and ultimately the fans, right? Like one, as you mentioned, you gotta have talent, you gotta have drive, you gotta have ambition, and you gotta be willing to sell yourself. You can't just run like towards people and thinking that you waving your hand is going to be enough. There's got to be more to you than that. There's got to be a structured way for you to advance that. And again, I go back to AI. AI has done a really good job in helping people just kind of organize themselves a little bit better. Take your time. Take your time and really put that plan together, and your business will kind of go from there. They have to see the value. Like, it's tough, right? Like, we have to see the value in ourselves, and we have to find a way to like translate that to other people, and people want to support you. Like, you have friends, you have family, you have people who are willing to share your stuff. Ask them. Like, I read this really, I forgot the name of the author, but it's called The Art of Asking. I got much better at asking, and in doing so, I got a lot more opportunities. I got a lot more people looking out for me. I got my name being put in rooms that I necessarily shouldn't or wouldn't have gotten into if I didn't ask and didn't see that, oh, this person is involved, this person is interested. So be willing to ask for help, be willing to ask for an opportunity. Worst case scenario, they say no, and you keep it pushing. You say, okay, next time I'm gonna get a yes out of you. Don't take it personally. Sometimes business is just business, right? Like, unfortunately, maybe the wind spear might never give us that acoustic feel that we need, but maybe we can convince the city to give us one of the halls that are just run down somewhere and say, yo, can we turn this into something? Can you give us a year? And you will give us like a budget of like $5,000 or $7,000 a month. In that, we get to pay everybody we're supposed to pay, maybe 12 to 15 people, and we can actually organize a weekly thing. We have food in our culture. We have food. We have activities. We have the kids. I mean, there's some people here that have like phone parties, right? Like, we have these things that are by definition fun to us. Like a pool party is fun to us. But if nobody's willing to organize it, and if unfortunately the city might not be looking at us as you guys gotta have fun somewhere, then it becomes very tough for us to kind of navigate. So business wise, we gotta be willing to kind of maybe do that ourselves, but asking for help definitely helps.
No, I definitely agree with that. We need to be in more spaces. We need to get the necessary tools and things to like promote ourselves more. So we're kind of wrapping this up. I want to get to each of us. I want us to highlight each of you can mention 3 Alberta artists that people should check out. Just so that we can amplify those voices as well. Who wants to go first? Who's ready with the 3 artists in mind?
We're both ready.
Ladies first.
International Women's Month.
Okay. I'd say Carice G. He's in the hip hop music scene. It's pretty good. Matea, she's really good. She's an R&B singer. And DJ EXO, he's a DJ, but he just started producing and making beats. We just came out with a song together, and he's a really good lyricist. You guys should check him out. He's both a DJ and now an artist.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Who wants to go next? Who's ready?
Me.
Yes.
No, I want you to profile me.
I'll do that. I like that.
Okay.
So other than me checking out whatever I have coming down the pipe this year, of course, there's Arlo Maverick, who does a lot in the community and has his Blue Collar album out right now. There's also my niece. Her name is Cree Williams. So she's out there doing big things. So when you put her name in, she'll be the beautiful lady with the big eyes. She's in there doing lots of stuff. And then last but not least, I would say the artist you need to check out is a DJ. My other niece, DJ Page. So she's a phenomenal DJ. She works around the city. She's beautiful. So check them out. Those three.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely got a lot more than 3, and I would definitely put you in that.
I know, I was trying to pick.
Yeah, no, do you? For me, obviously, I would be a little selfish. Seven Side Smoke, phenomenal rapper. He's got great storytelling. When you talk about somebody where you want to put him in your playlist, when you're going to the gym, when you're going out, when you're doing things, that's the dude you want to put in. He's going to give you some hard tracks that, you can just jam to. If you look like a little more dancing in the Congo Rumba space, I got Two Moods, a French artist, very, very popular. He's got a new song out actually today called Patriotique, phenomenal, with featuring a really big legend out in Congo, Jean-Roubal Kalala. And then I got Jira Carrier. She's an indigenous artist, really, really great soulful voice, jazz, country, rock, and she's kind of lighting up the scene right now. So we're working really hard. Would I plug in, Arden is phenomenal. Six of the World. I've worked with him in the past. Jay Scope. I mean, I could keep going on. There's so many great artists. I mean, R&B space as well. Mateus, phenomenal as well. I mean, there's so many of us that are out there. I feel like maybe we could do like a collaborative show or something. And YouTube, of course.
And both of them too.
Exactly. So throw them all.
Yeah.
No, there's so many though. There's so much talent in the city.
Yes.
I mean, maybe a benefit conference should be like the first big step, and then we go from there.
Iron sharpeneth iron. And that's why we are getting better, and we're getting great musicianship, because we are surrounding each other with greatness. So then when you look at the other person doing amazing things and you want to do amazing things, so now you're getting better. You're hiring more people. I'm trying to do stuff. I'm trying to do big things.
Yeah. Or a Stanley too. I see.
We're still going to your island.
At this point, let's create a playlist. Y'all are giving us all the names. Love that.
OG Jonah.
OG Jonah.
Top Boy Poison.
All of them.
By the way, Top Boy Poison is also my nephew.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, your whole family line.
It's my whole family.
I probably got over 300 of his songs on my phone.
Yeah. Creed's
Chris
his sister. Paige is his. They're all
the whole vibe.
The Williams family,
All
they're
three of
different
them.
breeds.
Just lost.
Josh Williams,
I mean,
my
I'm
other
my
nephew.
dad singing D.
Singing D.
Period.
Yeah.
Daddy H.
Daddy H. Daddy H.
Listen, as you can tell, we break the rules because we love our people.
Yeah.
We do.
Definitely. I mean, I really feel like we have so much talent here, and I mean, we might not be Toronto. We got like 18 million, 10 million people out here. We're 1.5 million strong. Just trying to work our way through, but if you want to call us diaspora, whether Caribbean or African
Or black.
Black in general, like black adjacent, whatever you want to call yourself, man. Like, we got an audience here. We just got to be willing to show up in spaces and be like, you know what, that was cool.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta love it, but you ain't gotta eat on it just because you don't like it. Like, listen, at the end of the day, you're trying to make a living.
Yeah.
Help us out.
So as you can see, this has been a very fun, engaging conversation. We need to have more of these things happening because there's more conversations that need to be had. Thank you so much to Nigel, Alex, Kiana for coming. Make sure you follow them on our platforms. We'll put their links below. Make sure you stream their music or check out their artists or check out their work. This has been another amazing conversation sponsored by Alberta Music. Thank them so much for letting us have this conversation, and because it's really important and we don't really get to have chances to do this. So this has been another episode of Chop It Up with your girl, Lebene Mawutor. Make sure you subscribe, you like, share. Just keep it locked in. Check out the artists that they mentioned and check out them as well. And keep the culture alive wherever you are. Bye.